Video 4, what is LRE, or Least Restrictive Environment? Hi, my name is Maren, and I'm mom to an amazing autistic kiddo. I'm here to talk to you about some terminology you may have heard used in your child's IEP meetings. An IEP is an individualized education program, and the rules that explain what it is and how it is used are found in a law called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. When talking about education for children with disabilities, you may have heard the term LRE used. LRE stands for Least Restrictive Environment. What does that mean? The law states that each public agency or school must ensure 1. To the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities, including children in public or private institutions or other care facilities, are educated with children who are non-disabled, and 2. Special classes, separate schooling, or other removal of children with disabilities from the regular education environment occurs only if the nature or severity of the disability is such that education in regular classes with the use of supplementary aids and services cannot be achieved satisfactorily. Let's break this down a little bit. What does that actually mean? In simple terms, LRE is a principle that guides a child's education, not a place. The principle of LRE means that students with disabilities should learn with their peers unless the IEP team agrees your child's educational needs cannot be met in that environment. And remember, you as a parent are part of the IEP team. Each school district must ensure that a continuum or range of options is available to meet the needs of children with disabilities. This continuum ranges from the least restrictive, meaning the student spends most of their time in the general education classroom, to the most restrictive, meaning the children is educated in a separate school or facility away from the regular school environment. Placement decisions should always begin with consideration of the regular education classroom, but placement in regular classes may not be the least restrictive placement for every child with a disability. In Minnesota, there are instructional settings that will appear on the first page of your child's IEP. Here I will describe 4 settings used in our state that are applicable to most students with disabilities. Setting 1 means a student spends less than 20% of their time away from their general education peers. 80% of their time or more is spent in a general education classroom. Setting 2 means a student spends 21 to 60% of their day away from their general education peers, often in a special education classroom or resource room. Setting 3 means a student spends more than 60% of their day away from their general education peers. Setting 4 means a student spends more than 50% of their day at a separate school facility. We often think about the term inclusion when we think about placements, but the word inclusion is never actually used in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. There should be a plan for inclusion no matter what the least restrictive environment is for your child. Your child's IEP must contain an explanation of the LRE for your child. This explanation should include the reasons, if any, your child is not able to participate in the regular classroom and other school activities. So as you can see, it's important that the IEP team discuss ways to enable your child to participate in school activities with their non-disabled peers as much as possible. Some questions to ask about when thinking about LRE might include, is your student receiving special classes away from their peers? Are they being pulled out from general education classes for services? Are they being educated in separate rooms, separate schools, or even in separate districts? Could a student succeed in a general education classroom if they receive support? If not, why not? If so, what would be necessary for the student to be served in the general education classroom? Are there ways to change the general education classroom to ensure that it is a place where a student with a disability can succeed? Is the student making progress towards their goals in their current setting? Will the potential benefits of a more restrictive setting outweigh any potential harm of remaining in the general education classroom? How will we include the child with their peers in the most meaningful way possible? The reason this law exists is because in the past, students with disabilities were often isolated, removed from the classroom, segregated away from other students, and we still see this happening today. But the law requires that students be meaningfully included with the rest of the school population as much as possible. And now that you know what LRE is, you can help advocate for your student to make sure they receive education in the least restrictive environment. Thank you for listening.